I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am, spilling it all because I need to get it off my chest. Maybe someone out there has been through the same, or maybe it'll just help me process what happened. Either way, I'll start from the beginning. It was supposed to be a simple business trip. My company sent a handful of us to a resort downtown for a weekend of meetings, team building, and whatever else managers deemed necessary. I packed my bag, probably too eager to get away from the usual grind. My best friend Mike was also there, someone I've known for years, someone I trusted implicitly. His wife Lisa was a part of the group, friendly and warm, always joking around with everyone. I'd never had a reason to doubt her, not for a second. The trip was fine at first. We checked into the hotel, shared beers after work, did some sightseeing. But then something felt off. I remember sitting in the hotel lounge late one night, watching the shadows flicker against the wall when I saw Lisa slip behind a door with my boss, Greg. They didn't notice me watching. My stomach clenched tight. I felt something cold and sharp twist in my gut, but I brushed it off. Maybe it was nothing, just a work-related chat, or so I told myself. The next morning, I was about to grab a coffee from the hotel lobby when I saw her purse sitting on the table. It was a small black leather thing, nothing fancy. But what caught my eye was something inside it, something shiny. I leaned closer and saw the faint glint of hotel key cards, tucked deep inside, hidden among receipts. I froze, my mind raced. Why would she hide her hotel keys in her purse? Who else would she need to hide them from besides me? I couldn't ignore it. I quietly slipped my hand into her purse, felt around, and pulled out the keys. They were definitely her room keys, one for her in Greg's room, I assumed. I stared at them, the cold metal feeling heavy in my hand. My heart hammered. My stomach twisted painfully. That was proof clear as day that she was lying, hiding something. The question now was, what exactly was she doing with Greg? I kept the keys in my pocket and spent the rest the morning trying to act normal. But inside, I felt a mix of rage and betrayal I'd never experienced before. I trusted her with everything, my best friend's wife, the woman I thought I knew. Seeing her with those hotel keys, I realized I'd been blind. I'd given her my trust without question, and now I was just a fool. Later that day, I cornered Mike in the hotel corridor. I couldn't keep it bottled up anymore. When I told him what I'd seen, his face went pale. "Are you serious, Lisa?" No way, she's not like that," he stammered, but I already knew deep down. The signs had been there, small things, unspoken doubts that I'd shoved aside. Now it all clicked into place. The worst part, I didn't confront her immediately. I just kept the evidence, the keys still trembling in my pocket. I needed to think, to plan. The betrayal ran deeper than I could have ever imagined, and I wasn't about to let her get away with it. Not without a fight. So sitting there in my hotel room, with the keys clenched in my fist and my mind racing, I knew one thing for sure: the game was about to change. I had to decide what I was willing to do next, because the truth was out, and there was no going back now. The next few hours were a blur of chaos inside my head. I couldn't shut off the ringing in my ears or the pounding of my heartbeat. I kept turning over everything I saw, everything I suspected, trying to piece it into some kind of story that made sense. But all I kept coming back to was that damn hotel key, burning in my pocket like a hot coal. It was proof undeniable, and I felt my palms grow sweaty every time I thought about confronting her. I knew I couldn't stay quiet, not anymore. I needed a plan, something precise, something that would hit her where it hurt. I wasn't the kind of guy to go ballistic or scream. No, I wanted her to see the betrayal in my eyes when I finally talked to her. That's what I kept telling myself. I wanted her to feel as small as I felt at that moment. I waited until everyone else was busy with the evening activities. Then I slipped out the hotel room. I found her in the lobby, checking her phone, her face smooth but her eyes darting around like she was hiding something. When she looked up and saw me, her smile was tight, maybe forced. "Hey," she said, voice a little high-pitched. "Everything okay?" I took a slow breath. "Yeah, just got some stuff to think about," I said, trying to keep my voice even calm. "Can I talk to you for a second, alone?" Her eyes flickered, and for a second I saw panic. Then she nodded, trying to mask it. We moved to a quiet corner near the elevators, away from the noise of the lobby. I hesitated, then pulled out the keys from my pocket, holding them out in my hand. Care to explain what these are doing in your purse? I asked, voice sharp. Her face drained of color. She stared at the keys, then back at me, her lips trembling. I don't know how those got there, she whispered. You do know, seriously. You think I just found them in your purse by accident? Do you think I'm stupid? She looked like she wanted to cry, but her voice was steady, defiant. It's not what you think. I can explain. Explain? Yeah, I'd love to hear how you explain sneaking around, hiding hotel keys in your purse with Greg, my boss, no less, while I was just a few doors down the hall. She paused, swallowed hard. It's not what it looks like. We were talking. In the middle of the night, behind closed doors, I saw you. I saw you slip behind that door with him. Don't even lie about it. I saw the fucking hotel keys in your purse. Her shoulders slumped, and she looked like she was trying to come up with a lie that wouldn't crack under the weight of my anger, but I wasn't going to give her that. I wanted her to see that I knew, that I wasn't blind anymore. Look, she whispered, voice fragile. It wasn't supposed to be like this. It just happened. I swear I didn't mean for it to go this far. That was the moment I realized she was trying to guilt me, trying to make me doubt what I'd seen. But I didn't care. I'd already made up my mind. This wasn't a mistake, it was betrayal, and betrayal deserved consequences. Save it, I snapped. You can keep lying, but I'm done. I don't want to hear any more bullshit. The truth is out, and I don't think I can trust you again. Her eyes welled with tears, but I was already walking away, leaving her standing there, trembling. I felt a strange mix of relief and fury. Relief because the truth was finally out, and fury because I'd let her get so deep into my life, into my trust, into my heart. That night I sat in my hotel room, staring at the hotel key in my hand. I didn't sleep much. Instead, I started to think about what I could do next. She'd betrayed me, yes, but I wasn't the type to just walk away. Not without making her pay, even if it was just a small, calculated victory. I knew I couldn't let her get away with this. Not without some kind of payback. I had to be smart about it. I had to plan carefully. Because once I was done, there wouldn't be any turning back. And I'd make sure she remembered this moment for the rest of her life. The plan started taking shape in my mind without me even realizing it. I knew I couldn't confront her again. She was too good at spinning lies, and I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me lose control. No, I needed to be cold, calculated. I'd already seen enough of her deception to know I had to strike back in a way that hit her where it hurt, but without crossing any lines that would make me look like an ass. The first step was to gather more evidence. I didn't want just a hotel key. I needed something concrete that would shake her, so I paid close attention in the following hours, watching her actions. She was trying to act normal, chatting and laughing with the others, but I caught little cracks in her armor. She kept checking her phone, her eyes a little too bright, her smile a little too forced. Later that evening, I went back to my room and pulled out my phone. I knew she'd be trying to contact Greg, or maybe even trying to cover her tracks. I had to be smart. I found her online, just enough to see her social media posts. Nothing scandalous there yet. I didn't want to do anything reckless. Instead, I planned to wait until the right moment to make her realize I wasn't just some fool she could manipulate. When she came back to the hotel room later, I was sitting on the bed, pretending to be absorbed in my phone. She entered quietly, trying to act casual, but I could see the nervous energy underneath her calm facade. She looked around, hesitant. I looked up and raised an eyebrow. Been busy, I said flatly. You know, looking at your posts seems like everything's fine. She forced a small smile, just trying to relax. I didn't mean for any of this to spiral out of control. I kept my voice steady, dangerous even. You've been lying to me, Lisa. All this time I thought I knew you. Turns out I didn't even scratch the surface. Her eyes darted away. It's not what it looks like. Really. Because from where I stand, it looks like you're hiding something, something you don't want me to find out. She swallowed hard. I swear I'll explain everything, just give me a chance. That was when I decided I'd had enough of her excuses. I pulled out the hotel key again, slowly, deliberately, and held it out to her. This is just a sample. I want you to understand that I'm not some naive fool who can be played. I have more than enough to make this very public, Lisa. I'm not afraid to tell Mike, to tell everyone what you've been up to. Her face went pale again. Please, don't do that. It's not worth it. I'll fix this. I promise. I shook my head slowly. No, Lisa, you've crossed a line and I don't think I can ever trust you again. You're not the person I thought I knew. This is beyond apology. She looked like she wanted to say something, but the words didn't come. Instead, she just looked defeated, like she knew she'd lost before the fight even started. I felt a strange sense of power, a strange relief, but also a deep, bitter disappointment. I'd trusted her. Hell, I'd trusted her more than anyone. That night I stayed in the hotel, not sleeping, just staring at the door, weighing my next move. I had the evidence, I had the plan. The only thing left was to execute it. I knew I'd have to act fast before she could spin her web any tighter. The thought that she might try to deny everything or make herself the victim made me even angrier. I wasn't going to be the fool who got played. No way. At first light, I was ready to start. My mind was clear, my heart pounding with the certainty that this was the only way to reclaim some shred of dignity. The pieces were falling into place. All that remained was one last step, one decisive move that would change everything forever. Morning hit harder than I expected. My stomach was twisted up tight, a knot of rage and betrayal that wouldn't loosen. I kept replaying her face last night, her eyes flickering with guilt, the way she looked like she wanted to vanish into the floor. It made me sick. I'd trusted her, shared everything with her, and now I saw her for what she really was. A liar, a cheat, a thief of my trust. I stayed in my room for a while, trying to calm my nerves, but I knew I couldn't delay any longer. I had to act. I was going to expose her, but not just with words. No, I wanted to make her see the damage she'd done, and I knew exactly how to do it. I waited until she was in the lobby, pretending to be relaxed, chatting with some colleagues. Then I slipped out quietly. My heart hammered in my chest as I made my way to the hotel's main office. I had a plan, and I didn't want to mess it up. I kept my face neutral, my hands steady, but inside I was boiling. In the office, I approached the clerk with a calm, measured tone. "Hi, I need to access some security footage from last night around 11 p.m. to midnight, room 407 to be exact." The clerk hesitated, eyeing me carefully. "Sir, you do realize that's private footage?" "I do," I said, voice low but firm. "But I have good reason. It's urgent." Reluctantly, she nodded and started the process. I watched the footage carefully, trying not to appear too eager. And then there she was, Lisa slipping behind a door with Greg. Scene was ordinary enough from the outside, but the way she pressed her hand against his chest as they walked, the quick glance over her shoulder, those were the clues I needed. They stayed behind that door for exactly 10 minutes, and then she emerged alone, her face flushed, her eyes darting around. It was enough. I had what I needed. I thanked the clerk, took the footage on a USB drive, and left the hotel before anyone could stop me. My mind was racing, planning my next move, knowing I had to be careful. I needed to confront her again, but this time with everything in my hands. Back in my room, I played the footage slowly, watching her every move. I felt my jaw tighten with each passing second. This was it, proof, real, undeniable proof. It was time to end this. I called her, no answer. I left a simple message: "We need to talk. Now." I knew she'd be rushing to find me, trying to spin some story, but I was done playing her game. I was going to confront her face to face and show her that I wasn't the fool she thought I was. When she finally appeared in the doorway, her face was pale, her hands trembling. She looked like she wanted to run, but I blocked her path. I held out the USB drive. "This is what I found," I said coldly. "And I've got more security footage, receipts, everything. You've been caught red-handed." Her eyes welled with tears, her voice cracking. "Please, just listen." "No," I cut her off. "Save it. You lied, you cheated, and I don't want to hear another word from you." She looked like she was about to break, but I wasn't done. I needed her to understand she'd lost everything. I pulled out the hotel keys, the tangible proof of her betrayal. "You think you can just sweep this under the rug? I don't think so," I said, voice sharp. "You're done here. Pack your things. You're leaving this trip in my life today." Her shoulders trembled, and she looked at me like I'd just punched her in the gut. "Please," she begged, voice thick with tears. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I swear I love Mike, I swear." "Love, that's bullshit," I snapped. "Love doesn't cheat, doesn't lie, doesn't hide hotel keys in a purse." She looked like she wanted to say more, but I was already turning away. I couldn't trust myself to say what I truly felt. I just wanted her gone. I knew this wasn't about just one mistake. It was about someone who had broken my trust beyond repair. I packed her bags myself, silently, as she sat on the bed, tears streaming down her face. I didn't say a word. I just wanted her out of my life. The finality of it all hit me hard. This was the end of us. I handed her the keys, the same ones she'd tried to hide so desperately. "Here," I said coldly, "take your things and go." She looked at me helpless, defeated, and I watched her walk out that door, clutching her purse and her pride. When the door clicked shut behind her, a strange calm settled over me. I knew I'd done what I had to do. Sometimes trust is just a fragile thing, and when it breaks, all that's left is the hard truth. I learned that the hard way. And I promised myself I'd never let someone do that to me again. The silence in the apartment was deafening after she left. It was strange how quiet everything suddenly felt. No footsteps, no whispers, no laughter that used to fill the space. Just that overwhelming emptiness. I sat down on the couch, the hotel key still clenched in my hand, feeling every bit of the ache settle deep in my chest. I couldn't believe I'd let her get this close, that I'd trusted her so blindly. Now, all I had left was a mess of feelings I didn't know how to process. For a while, I just stared at the keys, watching the metallic shine catch the weak afternoon light. That little piece of metal had become the symbol of everything that had gone wrong. That moment, holding her betrayal in my palm, everything shifted. I knew I'd never be the same again. Later, I sat down with a drink, trying to make sense of it all. Anger, disappointment, and a kind of numbness twisted inside me. But beneath all that, a flicker of determination started to grow. I wasn't going to let this ruin me. I'd made my decision. I was going to move on, but I'd do it on my terms, not with her lying around, trying to spin her stories. No, I was done being the victim. Now I was the one in control. I called Mike later that evening. I needed to hear his voice to clear the air. It was awkward at first, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine with him either. When I told him what I'd seen, his silence was heavy. Finally, he spoke. "Man, I had no idea. I swear, I trusted her. I thought she was different." "I know," I said, voice tight, "but trust isn't enough anymore. She crossed a line. She betrayed everything and everyone she claimed to care about." There was a pause, then he sighed. "I don't even know what to say. I feel like I've lost her and now I'm losing you too." "Don't," I told him. "People make mistakes, but some betrayals are just too much. I don't want to lose my friendship over her. I need time to heal, to figure out what's next." He agreed, and we promised to stay in touch. It hurt to hear that, knowing our friendship was strained, but I understood. I'd broken trust with her, and that rippled outward. Still, I knew I had to focus on myself now. That was the only way I'd get through this. In the following days, I started blocking her on social media, deleting her from my contacts. It was a small act, but it felt like a step toward reclaiming my life. I refused to let her poison my mind any longer. I needed space, lots of it, to breathe, to think, to rebuild what little confidence I had left. Everywhere I went, I kept catching myself looking for signs, something I missed, some clue I ignored. But deep down, I knew the truth wasn't my fault. She had chosen her path, and I'd been the fool who trusted blindly. That knowledge hurt, but it also freed me. No more secrets, no more lies. I knew I'd have to confront what was left inside: anger, disappointment, the feeling of betrayal gnawing at my soul. But I also knew I had to move forward. I owed it to myself to learn from this, to grow stronger. I'd be lying if I said it was easy. It was. It still is. I hope someday I'll look back and see this as a chapter I survived. For now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Because no matter how deep the wound, I've realized one thing: the only person who can truly heal it is me. Would you like me to continue with the final part? The weeks that followed were a blur of quiet mornings and restless nights. I threw myself into work and tried to distance myself from everything that reminded me of her: photos, messages, even the smallest things. Still, the ache of betrayal lingered, a dull roar in my chest that refused to fade. But with each day, I felt a little stronger, a little more in control. I had made my decision, and I wasn't going back. One afternoon, I packed up the hotel keys, the proof I'd gathered, and a long letter I'd written, something I didn't plan to send, just a way to put closure on everything. Sitting on the kitchen table, I looked at the small pile of my efforts to reclaim my life. Then I reached out and grabbed the keys, holding them tightly in my fist. It was symbolic. The end of my chapter with her, the final piece of the betrayal puzzle. I took a deep breath and grabbed the keys, walking toward the front door. I paused, looked back at the apartment that once held my hopes and trust, and then I stepped outside. With a firm movement, I inserted the keys into the lock, turned them, and handed the keys over to the landlord. Just like that, I was done. The chapter was closed. As I handed over the keys, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with a quiet satisfaction. Not because I'd won, no, that wasn't the point. I'd simply taken back control. I'd faced the pain, stared down the betrayal, and decided I wasn't going to let it define me. The trust I'd lost was irreplaceable, but the strength to move on was entirely mine. Looking straight into her eyes as she took the keys and left the place that once meant everything to me, I said, "Goodbye, take your lies and your betrayal with you, I'm done." And she was. That was the last I saw of her. Now I stand here, a little battered but stronger. I learned a harsh lesson about trust. Only give it to those who have earned it. I learned that revenge isn't about hurting others, but about reclaiming your power. And I learned that sometimes the only way to heal is to walk away from what no longer serves you, no matter how much it hurts. The road ahead isn't clear, and I still have wounds that sting. But I also have hope. Hope that I'll find someone who values honesty, respect, and loyalty. Someone who won't hide hotel keys in their purse or betray my trust. I know now that I deserve better. So I'll keep moving forward, one step at a time. Because in the end, the only person responsible for your happiness is yourself. And I refuse to let betrayal rob me of that.